information. So welcome, it's Valentine's Day. Your voting placard has been endowed with a heart. We may leave it there. If it falls off, that's fine. But happy Valentine's Day, and thanks for everyone who took their time to be here tonight of all places. Would love to introduce Nia Celestin. I'm sure you're not minding being put on the spot, but I wanted to give you a moment to introduce yourself and find out what brought you here and what has your seat be in this seat tonight at this ungodly hour of 6:15.
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Nia Celestin. I'm a longtime San Jose resident. Spent many years in Cambrian, and then recently became an empty nester and decided to move downtown with a pedestrian kind of more cosmopolitan life. So I've been downtown for a couple of years now, District 3. And I'm excited to be here because I'm looking for opportunities to serve and to make a difference.
Welcome. Good. Can you be Nia's buddy tonight? Dave?
Sure. Yes.
So Dave will, we have certain things about voting and how we do certain things. You can ask him, for quick guidance on the fly. Thank you very much and welcome. Next up, I provided a lovely form. So one of the things that I've been concerned about is how to get information about the agenda without violating the Brown Act. I can't, under the Brown Act, call individuals and ask people, hey, what do you want to talk about on the agenda? Certainly, I can just see that being a complete train wreck. But what we can do is, if we'd like, there's an agenda request that can go to the city. And it can be scanned, you can take a picture of it, and you can text it to Sabrina. Sabrina's really graciously put her personal cell phone number on this document. She may
don't abuse it, guys.
Don't abuse it. Don't go crazy. And if you cannot text, after 9 p.m., use this standard professional or earlier. Don't. So. But basically what it is, and I'll just say a little bit. So it's a way for feedback about items that you'd like discussed on the agenda to be provided in a way that doesn't let us be in a position to violate or be in the appearance of violating the Brown Act, which is a key concern. These are ongoing solicited. This will always be on the table. It may not have a heart on it. And I just want to talk about what gets agendized and some of the expectations around that. So the items that get agendized are related to our work plan, code enforcement, public safety, and transportation. And that providing a request is just that, a request. Agendizing is subject to work plan, staff time, current events, and other factors both inside and outside of the city and commission's control. And input may or may not be agendized. If you have an item that you really want to have handled immediately, like that month, it may not be a good forum to bring to the commission because we're agendizing a couple months out. We also can't control the coordination of timing of different departments. We can't control the interest level of different departments. We can't control the motivations of some of those folks as much as we wish we could. So if you have an item that is urgent, I think there's probably a different forum to address it. If there's an item that you want to agendize, provide a timeline that you think is a viable timeline. And if it's something that you think is taking 4 to 5 months to get on the agenda, it may not be something that the commission can address, and there may be a different place for it. So I just want to set an expectation on that. So please use this form. I look forward to ensuring that we have more participation. Originally I sent out a note to the whole team through Sabrina, and there was just crickets. I just didn't hear back. Or I heard abundant feedback from a couple folks, and I really want to widen that, and I really want to make sure that the city and we as a group hear more and have more bubbling up for consideration. Again, not all of it's going to hit the agenda, but many of those things can be handled in different forums. Thank you. Next, Frank Ponciano.
I'm sorry, we forgot to vote on the minutes.
Oh, excuse me.
Consent calendar.
Consent calendar. I got so excited about the hearts. Sorry about that. We're voting on the consent calendar. Approval for the minutes for our meeting on January 10th. A motion from Commissioner Martin.
A second.
A second from Commissioner Navarro. She got there first. All in favor? And I will read. Commissioner Wynn, Commissioner, I'm blanking on your last name, Celestin. Give me a moment. Commissioner Wilkins, Colstead, Hinman, Samanik, Henry, Navarro, Carter, Cunningham, Martin, hi Nick, Lebowski, and Hernandez. And Andreas in favor. Abstaining? And all opposed?
Yeah, he can.
Anyone
There, I think they're
completely
moving them there.
vote? Abstaining or all opposed? Is that a yellow? Okay, but it's holding us a yellow. Oh, you're pointing it to me? Okay.
Yeah.
So Commissioner Fleming is a no. Proceeding, and the vote carries. Thank you. I've given my report. Thanks. Sorry, guys, that was out of order. Frank Ponciano, welcome. Here from the office of Councilmember Rocha.
Yeah. Hey guys, how's it
You
going?
can stand if you want.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
prefer that actually. I'm sorry, a little bit destabilized here. Kicked out of my seat. I'm gonna pass this thing around. I brought some material. The topic of the day is going to be bridge housing communities. As you guys know, yesterday we had an informational memo come out from the housing department that narrowed down all of the choices that we have had for the last few months to 3. And so wanted to talk a little bit about that, and as neighborhood commissioners, especially the neighborhood commissioners in those districts, you guys have a responsibility to carry forward that conversation and to make sure that the process is smooth and that conversation goes on in a way that is fair and allows for different opinions to circulate. So I'm going to pass this around. What it has is the 3 sites specifically, and it's mapped out, actually has a red line around the specific site and has information about the site itself if you're curious. I wanted to also quickly go through the history of this whole process that stretches back all the way to September 2016 when Governor Brown signed AB 2176, which allowed San Jose to amend the Shelter Crisis Act and have a 5-year pilot program which will allow San Jose to declare a shelter crisis and have bridge housing communities, which we will have soon. Now, the whole process, I don't really have to go through. I don't want to take that much time. You guys know how much of a grueling process has been a lot of back and forth between community and the city. The city had over 100 sites at some point last year, narrowed it down to, I believe, just under 50 towards the end once we heard feedback from the community, strong feedback from the community. And so, as of yesterday, we have the 3 sites. Now, what's going to happen with these 3 sites, 2 things. There's going to be an environmental review, as it is law, with all 3 sites, and that should take between 12 and, I believe, 18 or 12 and 18 or 20 weeks. And the second thing, and sorry I didn't print enough. You guys are a lot of people, so if I print for every one of you guys, that's like 200 pages. And the second thing that's going to happen is that there's going to be a fair amount of community engagement. And specifically in each of the districts in which we're going to have, a site that is a candidate for the pilot bridge housing community. So keep that in mind. These are 3 sites. Only one of them will end up having this bridge housing community, at least at first. And so, the thing that I really wanted to highlight, being that you guys are neighborhood commissioners, is the meetings that we're going to have out in the community. And so if you see the sites, there's one in District 7, there is one site in District 3, and there is another site in District 2. You guys could look up the memo and see the information about community meetings, and I'm sure you guys will hear about it from different ends as well. But just so you know, the meetings are going to happen in the next few weeks. For District 7, we're going to have a meeting on the 22nd of February from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. at the Leininger Community Center, which is 1300 Center Road. District 3, we're going to have a meeting on February 26th. And that's going to be same time, 6 to 7:30 at the Environmental Innovation Center. And District 2 will have a meeting on March 1st, 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. at the Windham Hotel. So for you guys that cover those districts, I encourage you to look up the information, the memo, and to learn about it and to talk to folks in the community, to get them to come around and to give constructive criticism or to support, and bring their ideas to the table so that the housing department has more to work with as we move forward. All right?
So I'm still relatively new to this and unfamiliar with it, but how would the final location be determined?
So that's part of the, first of all, there's the environmental, review. And so we need to make sure that the different sites pass that. And the second thing is through community engagement, we are going to see, first of all, how friendly is the community to this idea, and the different parameters by which we narrow down to 3 sites is still something we're still going to keep in mind. And so as we review these sites together with the community, the housing department will make a choice. And we're expecting to hear back on this issue coming back to council sometime in the summer. They did not specify when exactly.
Commissioner Fleming, excuse me, kindly be recognized. Sorry, we have a process of holding up the thing and I forgot. You were so gracious and, anyway. Commissioner Fleming.
Thank you. So you said District 7 is February 22nd, 2018, right?
Yes.
And it's at 6:30 p.m. where at?
That would be at 6 p.m. And that's going to be at Leninger Community Center, which is at 1300 Center Road.
Okay. And you don't think that's a little too quick to have this was just put out yesterday and now all of a sudden it's, 8 days, 7 days, and we're going to have a big community meeting on something that's very controversial?
I myself don't have an opinion on this, but I do think if you do have reservations about how quick it is, and that would be a week and a half, I believe, of this, or basically a week at this point. I encourage you to reach out to James Stagey and the housing department to see what could be done.
And who's running that meeting? Is it James Stagey or?
I'm not quite aware of that.
It's the housing department.
To the housing department. So it would be like Jackie Morales-Ferran from the housing department, or?
They would know the information.
All right, thank you.
Commissioner Wilkins and then Samantha.
Just a quick question, is the ranking on here a true ranking?
No.
It's just,
They are in no
it's,
particular
okay,
order.
got it.
Yeah.
Commissioner Smanik.
John Smanik, District 4. District 3 site butts up against District 4, so Landee talked about it at a meeting I was at on Monday. One of the things I hear over and over again is it's an urgent situation, and ironically the delays till the fall time frame doesn't help the problem that we're all incurring in most neighborhoods. But my comment and feedback is very specific. I think most neighborhoods and residents feel, what's the operational management plan of these facilities? I think they want to hear that for the benefit of the neighborhood. How are they going to be managed? What's the service level agreements with the operators, whoever's going to operate it? And I think then another key issue is overall security as it affects crime and safety in the peripheral neighborhoods. So that's point 2. And in District 3, it butts up against BART, and by the fall time frame, hopefully BART will be operating, is what's the ramification being proximity to BART and all that brings, which is known, public knowledge, that a lot of homeless people use BART to get from A to B and use it as a homeless shelter in its own right. So I want to mention those 3 things specifically because that's what I'm hearing over and over again, other than the other common themes. But I think these meetings need to articulate these areas.
Commissioner Henry.
Thank you.
Can you repeat the time and place for District 2?
Yes, that would be 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. On March 1st at the Windham Hotel, 399 Silicon Valley Boulevard.
Commissioner Navarro. Oh, excuse me. Is that good, Harry? Are you good, Harry?
Windham
Question?
399 is the
That would
address?
be 399 Silicon Valley Boulevard.
You're good, Perry?
101 in Brunel.
Commissioner Navarro?
So just to make it easy, I'm pretty sure you guys are gonna do outreach yourselves, at least the council office and the city's office, but do you have a flyer, maybe a soft copy where we can also distribute through our social media sites, on our personal sites, and maybe we can even, I would love to print some and take them to our neighborhood meetings, that way they can go. As the other commissioner mentioned, some of these are actually really close to other districts, so it would be beneficial to them to also hear about this. And so I'm concerned if there's a flyer, and if it could be in Spanish and Vietnamese, that way I'd be more than happy to distribute it with our neighborhoods. Is there a possibility that that can be made probably as soon as possible, so we could get that information out to the communities and the neighborhoods, and that way they can actually show up to the meeting?
I encourage you to check in with your council office to see if they are working on creating a flyer. So far as I know, and from my perspective, in District 7, we don't have a site at this point, right? And so we do not know whether there's a flyer or anything like that. I encourage you to look into it with your council office, or check in with the housing department, and they should have something.
Okay, I just want to take a time out here and just do a time check, not to discourage anyone's comment. And it's 6:30, we started late because I wanted to make sure we have members of the public. So where we can keep our comments brief, not just ours, bring them offline as appropriate, that's great. We've moved things around, and I'm concerned that we're not going to cover things that are actually required for us to cover tonight. Just want to add that as a consideration for tonight. Also because last week we had to push back a big part of tonight. So again, not to fault anyone, but just to add that. Commissioner, Celestin.
My only question was, these meetings that are taking place next week, are they the first meetings with additional meetings to come, or is this the one and only meeting?
As of right now, they are the only meetings that are scheduled. I believe, or I have to assume that the housing department will, plan accordingly once they have conversations with the community.
Commissioner Carter.
Could you provide this in a soft copy or a digital copy?
That is an attachment to the informational memo, which you could find on the housing department's website.
And I just wrote down that I would send you guys all the info.
Good.
Okay, so Sabrina will send out everything that we can get our hands on.
Yes, okay, good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Frank.
Bye-bye, guys.
Great to see you. Staff report from Sabrina Cargarcia.
Okay, logistics first. Those of you who do not have business cards and would like business cards, I have a business card form. Please fill it out and give it back to me. Your name, your district, your phone number, and your city email should go on that form. I already gave them one.
Oh, sorry, okay.
So that's the logistics.
Thank you.
The other thing I wanted to report on, because we actually have dates now, our tentative dates at least, regarding the census rolling out. I talked about the pilot, you guys have heard me talk about the census one in the face. We have gotten a narrowed down sort of focus on the top 20% of districts, census areas for the census review, and the majority of them are District 5, almost all of District 5. District 5, parts of District 3, parts of District 4, a lot of District 7, parts of District 8, a little piece of District 1, even parts of District 10. So most of you guys have districts, I'm saying, which are going to be covered in this census outreach. And right now we have tentative dates for sort of volunteers to come in and help us, get trained on the day and go out and do it, of March 10th and March 20th. I just wrote this down myself. March 10th and 24th. They're both Saturdays. I just wanted to put that on your radar screen, so if you guys are talking to people, please get their information if they're interested in participating, and we can get them details on exactly where we're going to be launching from and what time and all of the further logistics we would have. But we are going to need a lot of bodies to do this. I think our estimate was 600 volunteers. So, wow.
How many did you just say? 600?
600.
Okay.
So, there's that. And now for the fun thing. So I'm going to pass these around. I'll put some out for folks to also take from the front. This is a flyer for the summer. It's the longest day of the year. It's the longest since the summer solstice. This is the second year that the Office of Cultural Affairs has done this. It's Make Music Day in San Jose, and it really encourages people to get in and do things to make music. The city hosts a lot of different events, from classes to dance performances to impromptu, bands playing to even non-traditional instruments, things that you can just make with stuff you have lying around the house. But it's really about trying to encourage people to get out there and do something. So it's just nice and early. You guys can start talking about it when you go to neighborhood associations. I'm done.